Wow. Wowie gazowie. All right, I flipped on YouTube, so you're welcome. Well, I appreciate you too. That's why you call. Got to get them before you go live. Okay, take care now. Bye bye. Okay, everybody, I'm on here. Cut down my news. I decided to. ooh, I decided to come back on tonight uh, because the ancestors they always know when I'm supposed to be here, what I'm supposed to be doing, and like I said, I never know what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I don't try to plan everything, but this the way it goes sometimes. I'm very much old school, so spirit has its own time frame in which to do things, and I don't really control that. So when you hear that people say respect your elders, I definitely respect mine because they're the ones that are telling me at the designated time when I'm to arrive and go on the air. I would like to do some readings tonight, also dream interpretation tonight. This is something I want to do. Peace and blessings, dear. And, this energy is very, very strong. And what I notice is there's a lot of people all over. We know all over the world all these different revolutions that are happening, right? Iran, Putin dropping bombs on the people in Ukraine, and now they want to pull out of Ukraine. They start a war, now they don't want to finish it. They got things going on with the Tibetan monks, fighting the stuff there. Now the Tibetan monks are getting sick and tired of trying to be the peacekeepers. And so a lot of these changes are now happening. And it's good in one sense and it's scary in another sense, but we have to start paying attention. It's up to each and every one of us to decide which way we're going to go. Now, a lot of people are going to fall into their ego, which is third dimensional based energy, instead of using their heart as the bridge on the fourth dimensional realm and cross in, meaning step into the energy and begin to let that heart chakra energy raise the vibration. There will be at some point where you won't need astrology or numerology or palm readings or crystal readings. But I think for the most part, crystals are going to still play an important part. Sound is going to play an important part. Those things will never stop because those things are help making up the energy vibrations that we're dealing with. And it's going to still continue on. There will always be people that will come in at the lower level of awakening. And when I say the lower level, I'm not saying that they don't know. They're just beginning to remember what they need to know. And then they can begin to step out on the path for themselves. So this is going to be a very strong time. And as we say here, my friend Ari Meat has said, Sagittarian New Moon Eve. So Sagittarius is the centaur. Think of scent as in sense. And so there's an opportunity to raise one's vibration to higher consciousness. Sagittarius is the opposite of Gemini. Gemini represents the twins. However, it's not so much about the twin souls, twin mates, as people think. If you meet up with your twin soul, you are going to get a workout. Just like you get worked out by your soulmate, you get worked out by your twin mate because your twin mate is going to bring up things that you haven't even touched upon yet or that you need to touch upon yet. So it's going to go and delve like a miner into the deeper realms of your subconscious and conscious self to bring things to the surface, bring things to the light. And we have to learn how to let go. We're going to find ourselves at this time between now and I would say a year from now. This is what I'm feeling from my guys. This is coming from my guys, beloved Akhenaten and Nefertiti. They are saying that once you could let go of your ego, the way it's been functioning, because it has malfunctioned, it has been miscreated by ourselves. Once we let go of the ego personality, it'll get like a vacuum cleaner sucked back up into the higher self. And then what's going to happen is we're going to have a whole new insight into things, and we're going to be able to move forward. This is going to be an opportunity in itself to kind of release the old static energy. When people talk about, you know, the old paradigm sliding away and a new one comes in, yes, that new one comes in because it's time. We can't keep holding ourselves back. You know, everybody is a light worker. Everybody. There's not one person on the planet who's not really a light worker. Everybody is a healer, but everybody is a wounded healer. So the wounded healer needs to be healed in order to become a healer. Like Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith says, everybody wants to meet the ascended master. But what about the descended master? What about the ones that are walking around on the earth now, who earned the right to be a master, but a master not over the people, but a master over themselves? So when we start to work in that energy field, it takes a lot more energy and work. You actually go deeper into yourself. So there's going to be some times when people around you are not going to understand why you're wanting to be silent. They're not going to understand. They're going to think that, oh, it's your ego talking, and oh, you just want to, run away. No. See, we can't run up into the mountains anymore, but we can create the mountain. We can use the energy that acts as a mountain and go inside. You're going to want to be to yourself a lot more. You're not going to want to be around a whole lot of people. Why? Because it's just too much. You're working on yourself. You can't work on everybody else. You must do the work on yourself. And this is why it's quite essential that everybody has to do the work. And people will say, well, I don't have time to do the work on myself. Yeah, we got time, because time doesn't really exist if you're moving your consciousness higher and you're getting more spiritual. You're like getting more light to come through yourself. So you will have the time. That time means some of us will be asleep and some of us will be working. Some of us will be asleep and others will be on guard. Some of us are anchors. An anchor is someone who might be born in the land where they're at, or they come into the land with the mission of being an anchor. And when you are an anchor, it means you're holding space. But not only for people within 10, 20 feet of you or a couple of miles. I'm talking about holding space for an entire city. It might be 4 or 5 of you spread out in the city holding space. And all that means you're anchoring the space, just like a ship, a Navy ship parks itself out in the middle of a body of water and they lower the anchor. What that anchor does, it holds them. It holds them down so that the boat don't go anywhere. And then they put their seamen to jump down there and loosen it if it's stuck on something, right? Then they could go back to the top where you become an anchor. Sometimes you may not realize how much you are anchoring. You might be the anchor and a dragon for a place that you go to, the dragon guardian for somebody, and don't realize it. But what happens is you're just not there conversing all the time. You're probably one of the quieter guardians. You might be there just sweeping and mopping up the place and making sure it's looking clean and presentable for others to come in. You might be up there helping the decor is okay. You might be just sitting around with whoever is there, whoever is running the place, and you just have to sit there and converse and look like you're doing nothing, but keeping your heart open. You might be with family members that are going through stuff all the time, and you have to keep your heart open. Now, you might close your mind out a little bit because you don't want to hear certain things. That's okay. But you got to sit with your heart open. And sometimes other people might pick at you and say, "How come you're not here or doing this? I need you here." You can't be every place for everybody, but they may not understand that you're there for more than just them. You're there for the entire neighborhood. You're there for the entire neighborhood in sections at a time. And it takes a lot out of you. It takes more than eating properly, exercising properly. Sometimes you don't even have to exercise, just show up. The energy will work through you accordingly. So it's going to be important to kind of move your energy in certain ways. This is why it's good to practice some yoga, some qigong, some tai chi, go for long walks, short walks, sit in meditation. The highest purpose for sitting in meditation is so that you can listen to spirit. That is the highest. To attune yourself to the heavens around you and listen to spirit talking to you. So it's like your body is here, but your mind is elsewhere, but it's truly here and truly elsewhere. This is why you feel like, hey, I got to get up and go home. And people say, hey, you single. There ain't nobody at your house. Why you leaving? You don't have a dog or cat or lizard or bird to take care of. Yet, you know, the closer you get to home or the more you get out of a physical situation where you're at, you could hear clearly where you need to be. Can you imagine that? Being someplace where you need to be, or you ask to be in service, and all of a sudden those guides come to you and say, it's time for you to go. You're gonna say, well, I didn't have dessert yet. I didn't get a chance to drink yet. Nope, go. Well, I don't have a car. That call yourself an Uber, get a bus, get on the subway, do what you got to do. But we need you at a certain location. And you may not even know where the location is, but they do. And they know that you carry enough energy, enough clarity to be in that spot for other things to smooth out. And I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. It can be quite a scary situation when you don't know where this place is or what it's going to be like. But they're telling you the whole time, if you just open your heart up, keep your heart open, keep your mind open to listen, I will guide you to the right place, and all other forces of energy will surround you, will envelope you. And then you will be able to do the work. And you're saying, what work is that? And Spirit is saying, shh, let me use you as a vessel. Let me talk through you as a vessel. And it begins to talk to you. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the founder of the Circle of Grace One, right over there. The Circle of Grace One is an honor to my late mother, my first spiritual and metaphysical teacher, Grace Virginia Delaney Revels. She was a Leo, born August the 11th, 1918, down near Thomasville, Georgia. She had these abilities that came with her, and they were honed in different ways under different conditions. And then she began to pass them on to me under different conditions. So I never had in the beginning formal metaphysical spiritual training. I had one on one, her word to my ears in the way that it was given to her to pass it along to me. And then she was able to take me once I got out of college. She was able to take me on the rounds to her various circles of friends where they kind of uh, checked me out to see what I knew and if it's really for me to do. And even at that time, at around age 25 or so, 24, didn't know, still didn't know what this path was about and how it would be utilized. Well, none of us really know. As time goes on, we meet up with other people on our path that show us a few things, and we begin to trade off what we know with each other. And we're willing to be a student while the other's a teacher, and vice versa. And we do this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until we begin to learn. It is an honor to be in this field, but it is not an easy honor. I'll say that again. It's an honor to be in this field, but it's not easy. Sometimes there's applause, sometimes there's financial compensation, other times there's no compensation. Sometimes it's just do the work. But while you're doing the work, being in service to others, whether you're getting financially compensated or not, you have to keep working on yourself. And there's sometimes you're going to be tired and you don't feel like doing any work on yourself. Sometimes you got to take a break. You got to take a mental health day to just relax the mind, not be in touch with anybody. So this work is not easy as people think that it is. And it's not for everybody. Sometimes when I have certain students come to me and they say, well, do you think I'll be able to do this work? And I might point them into public speaking. If they can do that and feel comfortable speaking in front of people, then they might want to consider doing this. But still, it is best to find a place where you feel comfortable at first than to just go out there without any knowledge of what it is truly about. Then there's patience. Gotta have patience. You gotta let yourself evolve gradually into this walk of life because you cannot chase it. When it's your time, it will come to you. Sometimes people say, well, it's your time to shine right now. And I say, I've been shining for 48 years. I've been in the eye of the public, thanks to my friend, Brother Lloyd Strayhorn, being on his very first radio guest and being an accomplished radio guest with him 24 times in a row, where I had to be prepared to speak to over 1 million people listening in from around the country. Sometimes those things aren't easy to do. You don't know who you're talking to. Sometimes they're pranksters. You don't know who you're talking to, but you do it anyway. And then eventually you get to that point where you enjoy doing it because you know this is where I am. This is where I'm supposed to be. Also in this journey, we become authors. Not just teachers, we become authors. The new term now is coach, but it also means a coach is a mentor. Someone who is going to help you at some point along your path and has to allow that process, that journey to marinate you, your heart, and your mind. So it does take time. It is not an easy thing. As I said, I've been doing this 48 years. I've known Lloyd for 44. That's a long time. And there was a stretch when we weren't even in contact with each other, but we were feeling it come together step by step, year by year. Eventually, boom, we were back together again. We have to work on ourselves. It's essential. Everybody. So it doesn't matter if you're a licensed therapist, licensed chiropractor, or certified, Reiki master, whatever, Reiki master teacher, you still have to work on yourself. It's essential to the collective unit of workers. Sometimes people say, "Well, I don't want to do the work. I don't need to upgrade." Sometimes you do. Just like a regular doctor has to go upgrade. Just like an accountant has to go to accountants conferences, right? Why? Learn the ins and outs of new rules and regulations related to their field. So we all, at some point, have to explore. Whether we go on a retreat out of the state, out of the country, or the best retreat is within. When you allow yourself to go within, changes will occur. But you have to be willing to go through things. You have to be willing to confront not only your fears and your doubts, but your anger. Many of us are carrying an internal anger. And if we don't get rid of it, we will implode. And what happens when you implode? Strokes, heart attack, skin rashes, paralysis of your different organs, impurities and toxins get released in your bloodstream and starts traveling. Blocks, you may have certain blocks that happen to you. This is like, and it's crazy the way it happens. Your body will tell you, you better take a break, or I'm gonna pick the day that week you take a break. We have to do those things. Sometimes we just gotta take a break and read. Let's see what other people are talking about. But I don't know everything. I just know what I and what I'm willing to share. Sometimes when I teach certain classes, I try to put it all out there just in case the next 24, 72 hours. Then I know I released the information. I didn't hold on to it. This is why I often say, as much as I want to give a schedule when I want to come on, I can have a schedule. I've been waiting all day for my ancestors. When do you want me to come on? Want me to do it 6 p.m. my time? That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern time. Didn't get a thing. Now, I've been on 23 minutes. You know when they gave me the message? They gave me the message at 9 p.m. my time, Mountain time. I was like, that's not enough time to notify anybody. It said the right people, the law of averages and the law of attraction says, when we give you this time to go on, do not question. We know who's coming on. You don't. But you might get an inkling of who's going to be on. And sometimes I can feel when that happens that, oh, I don't have to email or text somebody because I'm going to hear from that person in a minute or two. And I did. So I wanted to get that out in the open a little bit. I don't control when I'm going to do something other than this course that's coming up. The key to life is numerology that I'm going to teach from my book. And when I teach this course from my book, I'm going to bring it as close as I can to how the book is set up. I just retooled the basic outline. There are definitely, I will have 12 paid classes and 6 free classes inside this course. There's going to be a part one done on your name, how to do a name analysis. Part two is how to do the birth date analysis. Now, I could have separated where we just did part one first, and wait a month or two and then go back and do part two. But as I say, I like to give you all of the information as much as I can. Now, you're going to have 18 classes, 18 consecutive classes. 6 of them are going to be free because they'll be review classes, and the other 12 will be your paid classes. I'm going to record live because I'm using my Zoom video platform. Student will receive a summary video after the class is over. My ancestors don't want me releasing things like this full out after each live class. That's free of charge to you. So now you're getting 6 free classes and you're getting 12 summary videos, one for each of the classes, including the review classes. When the course is entirely over, you're going to get some additional information printed, might be ebook form or just PDF form. That'll be free. Short videos, no more than 10, 15 minutes. That will be free. I don't know how many, but you'll get them for free. It's designed to assist you and make things better for you in terms of studying numerology. So there's a lot to be shared. Now, what is my email address? My email address is iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com. That's iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com. There's going to be 2 distinctive registration periods. So that's why I'm giving you the email now. I'm not going to accept any money until starting January the 2nd. From January the 2nd up to January the 18th is the first registration window, and that's when you can take advantage of a early bird fee. If you email me, I'll give you that information. If you're unable to do the January 2nd through January the 18th to catch the early bird fee, then from January the 19th to February the 19th, you got about 4 weeks to do the standard registration fee, which is higher. Email me. I'm going to send you that. I was going to send a partial outline, but I decided that I'm going to send the full outline of titles of the classes. And we're going to get started on Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on February the 1st, and we'll be done on Wednesday, May the 31st. That's 4 months, just like a college course, a college semester, 4 months of information. I take a lot of pride in putting this together. I hope you will join me. And I know sometimes I have people who, even in my previous courses that I've done, and they said, well, look, Brother Bey, I'd like to take this course, but due to my financial straits, I can't do every week. Is there any way that I could go once a week, month, or every other week, twice a month? It's going to be quite expensive. Yes, but it's going to give you time to get the video reviews. I might give you one within the month. If you do it twice, I might give it to you twice, 2 of them. But the bottom line is this. This is a lot of information, and I want to make sure you get it. That's important. So I'm going to pull a meditation tonight. Tonight is 11/22/2022. The 11th month, that's a master number. Got 2 master numbers. Add that together, that's 33. So let's see. and I should have them in here. But what is so unique about all of this information? Again, it's well thought out. It's information that all of you could use at any time. So maybe what I need to do is go to my table of contents, right? And see where the master numbers are. In this book, it's at page 121 of my book here. And so I'm going to let you know what the 33 master number is. And again, this is my take. The 33 master number represents compassion, the principle of compassion. When you have compassion for somebody, what does that mean? You have a rich, deep feeling, a care for the other person. It's unconditional, meaning no strings attached. Great understanding to hold and teach higher wisdom. This is all the master number 33. As you pronounce the number, you are saying 30, comma, 3. So that means there's information about the 30 and the 3 as well. And I know some people say don't add it's a master number, don't add up the numbers. Well, there's actually no rule and regulation about that. I do add them together because the 33 is in the series of the 6, and you have to know that. When you see this number, you're reminded that you have to attract benefactors, teachers, and helpers into your life. You will have the potential to bring the spiritual realm into the material realm by way of visualization, spoken and written word. You can change your life through the power of dynamic breathing. In the biblical sense, dynamic breathing is the holy breath. The holy breath is loaded with spirit energy, molecules of divinity, atoms of divinity, charged particles of light. If you can get to that point, you can impact you are placing with it an intention. This energy is so strong, it's saying right here on my YouTube channel, your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnect. Now, bam, it's back to connecting. That's how powerful the energy is right now on the planet. Some people are on or off. It's what it is. That's the master number 33. Well, let's look at the compound number 30. That's part of the 33. The compound number 30, if you have this number connected to you, you should enjoy deep thought and conversation. You are very creative and expressive by nature. Use meditation to your advantage and allow yourself to see and expand yourself and life to greater heights. So the master numbers are about what? Kicking forth higher consciousness inside of yourself, reaching for something higher than where you are right now. That's what it's about. Very unique, huh? If we add 2022, 2022 is a 6. If you add that 6 to 33, that's the number 39. 30 and 9. So what does the number 9 have to say? You might look at the number 9, but I'm going to go back to the meditation part of the numbers. I'll give you something about the 3 in a second, and then I'll give you the 9. Here's the spiritual side of the 3. And there's an affirmation with it, and then I'm going to give you the spiritual side of the 9 with its affirmation. Here's the 3. The 3 is representing expansion through the gift of creative self expression. Self is 1. The gift of gab is 2. As 1 can be usually outspoken, conscientious, principle minded, so can the 3. Self expression through creativity is a must as their minds and bodies need activity. So, someone who has the master number 33, a 30 and a 3, or a 3 and a 3, they need activity. They need to be stimulated mentally, physically, and emotionally in order to feel alive in the world. They need that. So they need to be around people who can provide that. This energy relates to children, teenagers, and young adults. This is the number 3. Most are known to be talkative, competitive, and a little boastful. The 3 has a multitude of friends from every walk of life. So if you got the master number 33, this is what you got working for you. That's just a few of the things. You become a storyteller. All of that. You know people from all over the place. You got friends that are connected to you all over the place. But you need to become very focused. It's a number that courts luck and good fortune. 3 is symbolic of Jupiter, which is also the representative of Sagittarius. The 3 can be charismatic, comical, and creative. They share the journeys of life with everyone. And they're consciously aware of spirit because they live free. They love being a free spirit. Now, here's the affirmation for number 3, and then I'm going to touch upon the 9, read a little bit from my book about the 9, and then we're going to look at the affirmation for the number 9. Here's the affirmation of the 3. I am the 3rd layer of consciousness. This is the spirit of 3 talking. I am the 3rd layer of consciousness and called by many conscientious, creative, comical, and the one who seeks the spice of life itself. I move about from one experience to another just as a bee seeks and finds the nectar from flower to flower. Kind of unique, huh? I come to remind you, which is the number 1, to seek and gather your reflection, which is symbolic of the number 2, and become free to live your life with sweetness like me, the number 3. Powerful energy kicking through. So let's see. Like I said, when you 2022 was a 6 universal year added to the 33. So we need to go look at 36, which then reduces to the number 9. So here is what it says about the number 9. This is a meditation. 9 is the natural warrior and yet a good humanitarian, for it symbolizes all the other numbers from 1 to 8. That means if you write the number 1 through 9 out, you will see that 1 and 8 is 9, 2 and 7 is 9, 3 and 6 is 9, 4 and 5 is 9. The 9 person stands their ground. So if they're arguing or they're in a challenge moment, they don't back down. They're going to stand there and they're going to speak their mind. Since it represents all the other numbers from 1 to 8, it tends to be a leader, well organized, and enthusiastic about how to live it thoroughly. The personality portrays the ambassador and the teacher's teacher, but is the warrior as well. Nine remembers how to being a student to gain power, force, and resilience. It moves out of stagnation toward a place where it can experience what is known as, just like the other odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, and 7, it is independent of others and therefore becomes self sufficient. This is the number 9, the spiritual quality of the 9. Now, I'm going to skip down a little bit. The 9 person will continue to observe you and may give you free rein, but then yank it away. Because either a person proves to be not trustworthy or fails to live up to a standard laid out and established by the number 9. The 9 person may have a bad temper and will internalize, then implode, or display it by exploding on others. The number 9 person must show humility and live that principle as well. Then they will see change happen and will ease around them. See change happening around the person. Does not worry to become the chess master in life, but plays the game of life well enough to share the platform with everyone. That means nines will share the spotlight. Nines are not going to go me, me, me all day long because they know 9 means a team. Just like in baseball, you got 9 players. It's a team game. It understands all of these qualities, all these other numbers that make up the 9. The 9 has it. So it's like everybody else. But here's the affirmation of the number 9. I am the ninth layer of consciousness and remembrance. I have shared with you all my aspects from 1 to 8, including my highs and lows. I reach for the and am called 9. So this is something that I put in this book for a reason. Because it's a reminder that we are all these things. We're just not a few. We're all of these things. We're pulling out a few things at a time so that we can go over those things. Important that we see, do, and have. But in order to have any of that functioning, we got to really work on ourselves. That's highly important. So, for those of you that are tuning in from different areas, if you have a question, if you want to know what things are going on, then ask a question. Ask a question and allow yourself to receive an answer. That's why I'm also on here tonight, because I want you to receive. A part of teaching is to give. All things shall be well, but all things are not going to be easy, but it's going to be well. And again, we have to have some patience because we never know where we're headed with these things. Patience is essential to our well being. So, some of us going to have questions tonight. Been on about 45 minutes. Your questions should be relative to my topic. The key to life is numerology, numbers that you see revolving around your life. Or perhaps you've got some dreams that you want to share a bit of it and let me give you an analysis. Well, let's step into the dream world. The dream world is popular subject. People like talking about their dreams. In some communities, there's dream books that have numbers connected to them, like pick three, pick four numbers, lottery numbers, 6 digit, 5 digit. Some of those things are still relative, some of them are not. But what you have to do, you have to kind of find your way. So when you get a dream interpreted or you're able to interpret your own dream, is it because you need a number? Or is it because you need a message to come through? Or is it because you just need some information, particularly about yourself and where you think you're going in the world? You know, when I was a child, I used to have some, what I call some strange dreams, but they weren't really dreams. They were actually visions, things that were happening, prophetic kind of dreams. In the world of psychology, they call it precognitive dream. Cognitive has to do with knowing something. Precognitive is knowing in advance. And I used to have those kind of dreams. I used to be transported to an area where I would see a raging volcano or fire. Sometimes it's just the fire, not a volcano. And I would see this fire. And I mean, I'm like 6, 7, 8 years of age seeing that kind of stuff. Sometimes I 14, still seeing that kind of stuff. But I was fortunate. I had my mother, Grace, who would say, okay, son, I'm going to show you proof, but I need you to describe exactly what you saw. What can you remember? And I would say to her, I remember hearing a siren while I was asleep, and then it catapulted me into a time that didn't feel like the current time. And she said, well, go ahead. And I would say, this area looks like where we live. And I see a fire. I see a house on fire. And I see the fire trucks come up. She says, okay, what else? And I would begin to describe the kind of cars I would see. And she would tell me to keep going. And eventually I tell her I could smell the charred wood, what smells like hot brick. And then I would go in, I could hear cries. I could hear adults crying over their children. And I would keep explaining. And then sometimes I'd see a street name. My mother would wait till I calmed down. Then we would drive in a certain direction. And she would say, what do you see here? And I would go. I would feel like my chest was building with heat. She said, are you okay? I said, I'm fine, but I feel nervous. Not scared, but nervous. She said, well, describe it. And I would tell her. And she would begin to relate to me that I was picking up on what the people were feeling. I was feeling their energy. And then I was starting to describe them by their appearance. And she would say, okay. We'd drive a little further. Then we kind of stop at a place. And I'd get a little bit of the chills again. She's just watching. So what do you feel here? And I would tell her. Then we'd go and she'd pull out an old newspaper to collect. My father used to call my mother the bag woman. He had bags of newspapers. But what my father didn't realize, my mother was checking things that I saw things that other family members who have this gift and ability might be seeing. And she could pull out an old newspaper and show us. And she would do that to me, these experiences. But I would say, hold. That's the block. That's the area. That's the house. She said, yeah. So look a little closer. What else do you remember from your dream or from your vision? And I would say, there was a dog. There was a couple. I could describe the couple. I could describe the car. And then she'd show me a series of pictures, black and white. I wasn't sure what I was looking at, but I felt a sense of relief. So sometimes I was getting this stuff. I didn't know where it was coming from, but yet she was the only person I could talk about it to. Then she would, get together with two of her older sisters who had the ability, had the gifts, and she would relate to them what I saw. They didn't say much, the older sisters. They just observed me. And they would have me repeat it again. The reward was some cake and milk, or some cookies, or a sandwich and soup with my little chubby self. But that's how drawing the information from me, what I saw. So I say that to all of you because many of you can go back in time and see where you've had similar situations happen to you. You weren't you weren't always prepared to talk about it, but you had the experiences. And you allowed yourself to begin to see. And the more you allowed yourself to begin to see, you began to operate. You began to operate in the realm of spirit with yourself. Now, some people had family members. As someone I was talking to tonight had family members that did remember past lives and could relay that information and could talk about that information. But sometimes, if you're not in the right circles with family members and friends and other associates, it's hard. It's hard bringing that information out because you don't know if anybody knows if you're telling the truth or not. But it's your truth, it's your experience, it's their experience. And they just have to relay it, have to release it. They didn't want to transition without giving up that information because maybe that information can be utilized by others. So I often find myself wanting to find out who has the information, who's ready to release the information. Am I supposed to say it or not? Am I supposed to tell somebody or not? You never know who you're supposed to tell because it's that powerful. And it's hard. Right. It is hard letting other people know what it is that you have to say. It's not easy. It is not easy at all. Again, we are trying to help other people. And when you're trying to help other people, it is not easy because you walk around with this stuff. You don't have anybody to talk to. Hey, when I got into high school, I had nobody to talk to about this. I couldn't share it with anybody. And my mother was making sure that I wasn't. Why? Because she didn't want anybody to label me as nuts. She was protecting me. So I've grown accustomed to not speak about it. Just learn how to hold my tongue, so to speak, not say anything. As I got older, like in college, then I ran across people that had similar abilities. So now we're young adults. We can talk because they didn't have anybody around them who they could share that information. So we would kind of one on one talk to each other or a group of us together in somebody's dorm room. Sometimes these things occur. They build up on the inside and we become sentinels. And we start to see, we start to experience in dream time. Again, if we're not releasing this information in a positive way for ourselves and for others to receive it, we will either explode on somebody with it or we might implode. We don't need to implode. Why? Because it'll create havoc within your body. This is how potent things are. Again, we're seeing things with our third eye, with our physical eyes, experiencing things in the dream world. And then eventually finding your collective. I don't call it tribe, I call your pod. You hear the phrase three P's in a pod? You find people that you can bounce this information on. They know things too. They've had similar experiences as yours. So now you can share this. This is important, very important, because everybody, as I said earlier, everybody begins to awaken in their own time. And what that means is they begin to remember when they planted the seed inside themselves and when that seed sprouted, that information, that talent, that gift, quote unquote gift, starts to blossom. We planted those seeds there to carry us back to the divine realm of consciousness. So you still may have to journal. People say, oh man, when I pass away, I ain't coming back here. You don't know if you're coming back here or not. You're not coming back immediately, that's for sure. There is going to be a time when you're not back here, but you're not just sitting in limbo all the time either. There's other places in the galaxy, in the constellation where you're going to go to that you did have other experiences at. And you with the collective soul within yourself has to go there and balance the scales out there too. It's it's the way of the world of a metaphysician and a spiritualist, or the way of the world of an occultist. Everybody's got their part. There used to be an R&B tune. I forget the name. And this R&B group used to sing this song. It was back in the 60s, R&B song. It said the whole world is a stage and everybody is playing their part. That was the start of it. But it dealt more with like a broken heart and romance. But it still means the same thing on some level. The whole world is a stage. Everything is laid out. And we all have an intricate part to play. You're the star of your own life, and you're the co star or the extra in someone else's life. The bottom line is keep stepping forward. And when you're not stepping forward, rest. And when you rest, study or read. Sometimes do absolutely nothing so that you can come back to yourself and go within yourself and grow. Continue to grow because you have to. You don't want to get to a point where it's time for you to transition, and because what you didn't do here, you're going to have to do across the lanes. Curtains part, but you still got work to do. Now it's like the work that you didn't complete. Now you're taking luggage to the other side, and the work over there you're trying to complete and add on to, plus what you took over with you. It's a lot of work, a lot of work. But nonetheless, you must do the work. And again, it's not always easy. Sometimes that work that you're doing takes a lot out of you. It takes a great deal of energy out of you because you're always struggling to move ahead. So I'm on here. If you want to get a quick numerology reading, I've got some paper and a pen. And what I want to look at is what we call your life, not your life path number. We can do that. But let's look at your personal year number. What personal year cycle are you in? And give you a tidbit of that information. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to talk about dreams. Now, there are other ways to delve into dreams. You could write down the information, write down your experiences, and then you could research it, the symbols, the colors, the clothing, the, the layers of speech, things that you had on, buildings that you were in, or cars that you were in, or just land that you saw. Then there's other things you begin to see and understand about yourself. And then if you can't find it that way, you can use your other tool, which is meditation, and begin to meditate on a segment of what you saw. And as you do that, allow yourself to go through, sift through many things, many layers, meditating and meditating. Because meditation is the act of finding your center of being, so you could take into yourself a scene or an image or some words that you heard and begin to contemplate on them, or better yet, meditate. Take them into your heart and just hold it and see what you are feeling about that scene. That's essential to your well being. Now, you may not get an immediate answer, but nonetheless, you will get an answer at some point. Might take you a couple of days, a couple of hours, a couple of weeks, but bam, sooner or later, the door opens up and you see that experience in the dream for what it actually means to you. You might even uncover that it has nothing to do with you, but with others in the dream. But that's how you can begin to dissect your dreams. You're either having symbolic dreams, or the precognitive dream, or the dream that just deals with everyday life. You either have not only a precognitive dream, or what I like to refer to as prophetic dream. It steps out onto a bigger stage. Now you're just not seeing what's around you, picking up stuff in the news in advance, picking up stuff that has not even been recorded yet in the news, but you're having an experience of the quote unquote plausible, possible future as now. And it begins to make sense. Or you have the out of body experience, which I like to refer to as soul travel, not just out of body. Because you could be out of body and still be home, just walking around your residence. That's an out of body experience. Or you could be truly in the ethers, the different layers of the ethers around you in your auric field. Because your auric field is just not here in your personal space, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 foot diameter. It's beyond that. Especially once you open yourself up energetically, you realize you're just not this small bubble of light that has a diameter of 6, 7, 8, 9 feet. You're actually bigger than that. Energetically, you're huge. So when you walk or you drive, your energy is not just inside your car, it's outside your car. And you're feeling everything. You start to plug in different zones of energy around you. You can't help it. Why? Because you're going to see what you need to see. It's important. It's important. You are going to see exactly what you need to see. This is essential to who you are and where you find yourself going. The dream world is out of this world. The dream world is not a joke, though. It's real. The ancient aboriginals, shamans, medicine people, men and women have said when you're in the dream world, that's the real world because you can see everything. In the world that you're walking around in the 3D world, you dreamt that. It's not just by default. You actually dreamt it. You just didn't just mishap create it. You actually created it from a dream world because you're trying to make some changes on this physical plane. You're striving to improve your life and improve yourself. This is why you find yourself doing the things you need to do. This is why you feel like you're working hard sometimes. This is why you feel like I've been there before. I'm walking down the road, I'm driving my car, and I come into an area. I've been in here before. It's a bubble. I feel the energy because you had an out of body experience. The You took your soul nature with you, going out of your body, and you start investigating places, going into places where you felt like you've lived there before, where you had dealings there before, and various people. Study dreams and study them from as many angles as possible. Study meditation. Allow yourself to experience different types of meditation: Buddhic meditation, Zen meditation. I think the Japanese call Zen Chan, Chan, Chan. Allow yourself to get in there, to get inside yourself, to go as deep as you can. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you don't need to. But for the most part, you need to go in yourself, within this auric field, within in the core of your being, and, start looking. You remember the movie Dave with Eddie Murphy? Right? They were aliens controlling the ship, right? And he was in the body. He was the miniature guy body, steering his arms and his legs like that. Find yourself the consciousness of the core of your being and start steering the outer form, having the experiences with the outer form. Hey, grapes. So it's unique. You got to let yourself explore. You got to let yourself find out dreams, study dreams, and take your meditation to new heights for yourself. Allow yourself to explore yourself through meditation. The more you do it, the clearer you will get. I'll say that again. The more you do it, the clearer you become. See, as a spiritual counselor, I'm here to help people get clear with themselves. But you don't need a middleman. See, I'm like the middleman to you and the creator. You don't necessarily need me. You just need to know how to go within the core of your being and open yourself up. Now, you can do what they call chakra meditations. They are very popular to do. Crystal and gemstone meditations, sound meditations. All these things are good for the soul, as they say. It's good for you. Why? Because you want to become more of your true self. Your true self is called the higher self, meaning the totality of who you are as a God on earth. So you have to study a lot of things. Now, sometimes you can go into it to the science. See, metaphysics involves everything, not only the man made sciences, but the metaphysical, the spiritual, astrological, numerology, palmistry, all of that stuff, healing, all that stuff is needed. Going into the deeper consciousness levels of who you are, studying quantum physics if you want. You have to use everything because any one, two, or three things can trigger you and turn you on. Yes, listening to Tibetan bowls before you go to sleep, crystal bowls before you go to sleep. Find the things, yes, that you resonate with. Sometimes, yeah, my laptop is here in the living room, but I keep an iPad in my bedroom, and I'll find a hertz vibration frequency tones to listen to. And how long do they play? Some an hour, but usually I need something like 3 hours. It takes me a little bit to get into sleep mode. 6 hours, 9 hours. And then when I'm in that zone, I'm feeling like I'm uplifted. I feel like everything that's around me uplifts me out of my body. So my physical body's at state of relaxation. My mind is at a state of relaxation. But through my heart center, through my heart chakra, so that's why I do a lot of my work through the heart, through the heart chakra. Then I can go. I can be out of my body. Sometimes turn around and see myself sleep and take off. Often, many people ask, well, how do you get in touch with your guides, your spirit guides? There are numerous ways. Some people refer to your spirit guides as your spirit team. One of my colleagues out here, I've never really taken her class. The reason why I don't take her class because I don't want to find myself borrowing something from her class and utilizing it. I like to explore the way that my ancestors, my mother and her aunts, her sisters told me to do. And that has worked well for me. You can simply go into a meditation over time and ask through your higher self that you want to meet up with your spirit guides. But you have to be patient. And when you ask, you want them to be as clear as possible to you. They will come at the appropriate time and reveal themselves to you. When they do that, you have to pay attention. I can tell you sometimes I would sit in meditation for 2 hours, deep, open, and then see things moving around within. Look like it's on my eyelids, moving around. Then they stand still, and I'm looking and I'm gazing, but a part of me is asleep. And I see it. Then I realize, oh man, then it went away. And it was an ancient language being revealed to me from inside of me. Then, as minute as it went away, rather than be like, it went away, because going like that, being frustrated, I might close the door. What I would do is ask for it to come back. Whoever brought that to me, whoever brought that up inside of me, cause me to remember. Yeah. And to you, they are real. And they become more so real because you don't see your physical face often. You just see your hands. And you know that you're moving about. Some people used to say when I was younger, if you have a dream and then you fall and crash, you're going to die. And I would go like, that can't be. Because I'm experiencing that. I'm still here. You don't die. You just break through or break down some of the layers of consciousness that you're holding on to. You have breakthroughs. You just don't realize you're having a breakthrough. Flying dreams have to do with freeing the mind of limited thinking, old thought patterns, swimming through water. Now, I don't swim, but I would see myself swimming through water, man, with ease. Water's emotions, psychic things. See myself walk through fire, intuition, being forged to be stronger. You know, animals dream. You ever watch you may not see your cat do it, but you can definitely, if you have a dog, a fur doggy in your house, you could witness them dream. Just like us, their eyes were slightly open. They're in that zone. You can get real close to them. They see you and don't see you, but you don't want to startle them. And then what happens? Dog starts twitching the legs, whole body's twitching. Then all of a sudden, full run. And if the dog really gets into it, pops off his little bed, bam, runs into a wall. Like, oh, what was that? They dream just like we do. Yeah, because they're having an experience, a life's experience. And dogs and cats and lizards and fish and sharks and birds and tigers, they're living in the now moment, but they do have a memory about this now moment. They even dream of you, especially if they haven't seen you for a while. Especially if you go out, say you go to work, they know when you're coming back. They can feel you. They can hear you for miles. They have a scent. They know your scent. They know the sound of your thoughts and words, and they wait. Now, you come through the front door, they're going to be there at the front door. If you come through the side door, the back door, they're going to be there waiting. Why? Because you set up this pattern where you come to the back, the side door, the front door. And they know. They don't have a watch on. And they are not reading a clock. They're reading the waves of energy between you and them. And they know when you're coming. And then they can feel you turn the corner, walking, riding your bike, your motorcycle, or driving your vehicle. They know. And then they start standing up, shaking themselves. Mommy and daddy is home. And then they greet you. Just like us, they have feelings. You're getting ready to go to work and they're going like, man, you leave it again. I got to stay here and wait. That's why some people, I didn't understand this always, but that's why some people leave on radios and TVs in their house for their fur babies. So they're not feeling like they're by themselves. Or they have an answering machine and they leave the volume up on the answering machine. And then the phone rings. The answer machine goes off and they hear a voice. They're talking to them. Witness that. Very unique way to communicate. Check in on the fur baby. You're already there watching them for them. But they tell you, don't, when the phone rings, don't pick it up. My fur child needs to hear my voice. And then they hear it, and then it goes away. Again, these are different ways that we develop ourselves. We need to do this so that we get clear, so that we can operate better. That's what we want to do. We want to operate better. We want to be like the animals in the jungle, really. Hmm? Those animals, they know what's going on. You may not know what's going on, but they know what's going on. They can feel you long before you get in there. It's, oh man, here come them humans again. What are they going to do today? Oh, they're going to go fishing. They're going to go hunting. They're going to shoot one of ours. What are they going to do today? And the animals communicate telepathically through sound. People coming, not armed. People coming favorable. People coming holy. People coming, they don't know who they are, but they coming. But they're in tune. There's no accident. We are going to become more like them sooner than we think. We're going to start sooner than we think. We're going to be we're going to be held more accountable now because we know certain things. But what we have to remember to do is not spend too much time judging others. So if you feel that you got a lot of information and other people don't, you don't want to judge them because once you were where they were, you didn't know anything. You wasn't into any of this stuff. And then all of a sudden you started having experiences or you met somebody that took you to the next level. So we can't really judge other people because we all were once in a state of not knowing, not being aware, not being awakened. We all were once thieves and everything else, rich and poor, and everything else in between. The key factor is that we remember and then move forward. So, getting back to this thing where you're going to ask through your higher, you may have to ask yourself, well, and I would suggest that you pay attention to the things that you have in your home. Is it by chance you've got some Indian things, indigenous Native American things in your house, indigenous African things in your house, Asian things in your house, European things into your house that you seem to gravitate toward? Those things will be a sign that you were once in those places where those things were made. You once lived in Edinburgh, Scotland. You once lived in what is known as Berlin. You once lived what is known as Machu Picchu. Because everything will trigger something inside of you, and you will begin to reflect. Wow, I've been there before. I seem to remember, I seem to have too many dreams as being a medicine person out of Mexico, or a medicine person out of Haiti, or a medicine person out of Siberia, or a medicine person in Mongolia. You're attracted to these things. And the attraction gets stronger. And then you truly, truly begin to remember. You can begin to pat yourself on the back because you are remembering. Now you're willing to get your journal out. You start to write. I remember this time frame. I'm going to research that. You start researching these things, and then you find out some of these things really do exist on the earth plane. Some of these things exist someplace else. You start researching that. Then you turn on something like Ancient Aliens and Powell. They're like, hey, I got that too. What are my thoughts about tarot cards? Well, the other night I was saying I used to work with tarot cards, and I still do for some of my clients. They like to hear the sound of the shuffling of it. A lot of them are set up on life itself. Some and many have other symbols within the cards that begin to tell you a story about the card. Let me give you an example. I've dealt with a lot of tarot cards in my life. Some I've given away to all my students 10 years ago. Too many to work with. I have a dragon motif tarot deck now. I've been working with that for about 2 years. But I used to work with the Aquarian tarot deck and the Morgan Greer and Hanson and Roberts and Mother Peace and what else I worked with. So many. The Bota. And that dealt with sort of the Rosicrucian work, but it was connected strongly to the Waite Rider deck that everybody works with. The only one I didn't work with was Aleister Crowley's deck. I didn't chose not to work with his. But let's look at the Waite Rider deck. And let's look at the aces. First of all, the traditional tarot deck has 78 cards. It's split into two decks. The Lesser Arcanum, or Arcana, means the lesser or lower or more earth, ancient earth things, experiences. And the Major Arcana are the heavens. That's where the astrological influence come in at. For people who study the Bible, there's one of the Psalms that is the longest Psalms in the Bible. When you find the longest Psalms in the Bible, that particular Psalm, the longest one, is divided into 22 parts. Well, guess what? Each of those 22 parts is connected to the 22 major arcana cards in the tarot deck. So when you look at the section that says Aleph in that particular psalm that has 22 sections, that pertains to the magician. Magician is number one, Aleph. Psalm number two, section number two, Beth is the high priestess. Gimel is the empress. Daleth is the emperor. Just to give you a hint. Metaphorical, metaphysical things rolling through the Bible. People don't often tell you. Tarot means wheel of life. If you look at the tarot and you spell Tarot, if you take off the first T and move the A after the second T, you have rota. Rota means wheel. So the tarot is about the wheel of life. What are one of the wheels of life? Is the astrological wheel. So there are major arcana cards that relate to the planets and the astrological signs. That's good for you to know. Well, the tarot has two decks now. That's the major arcana, and then there's the minor arcana. The minor arcana is the 56 cards total. Now, how do you find the 56? There are four suits: earth, water, air, and fire. The four suits are earth, water, air, and fire. The emblems for that: pentacles is earth, cups is water, swords is air, rods are fire. Now, there's two different schools of thought. Some say swords, because they sharpen things, is fire, and rods or wands is air. But you have to meditate upon that to see which one connects to you. Once you find that out, then it'll shift perhaps. When I've used the tarot cards, Earth is Pentacles, represents money, represents business, it represents the physical body. Cups is the element of water, and that's the emotions, psychic input, as well as feelings. Romance is in that department. Then there's the swords, which is air. That's the mind, being decisive. And in swords, you are decisive, right? You chop something, cut something. That's being decisive. Point. That's being decisive. So that's the mind. That's the thinking capacity. Decision making. Sometimes we say we can get depressed or angry through the mind. We can get depressed through the emotions too. You can get depressed through the physical, which means your health goes down. Then you have the wands, which is fire. That's intuition, empathic nature, but intuitive nature. The wands can represent many things. It can also be business concepts or priorities. Now, it is said that the four aces are the four faces of the Creator because it's pure earth, pure water, pure air, pure fire. That's Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords, Ace of Wands. So here's a way that you can study. This is a system that I developed, but I'll share it with you a little bit. When you open up the deck, it happens to be more like the traditional tarot deck, whether it's like Morgan Greer, uh, uh, Conley Tarot deck, Waite Rider deck. When you open the deck up, you will usually see the 22 cards by themselves and the 56 cards by itself. So what you want to do is you're going to stack the deck. What I mean by that, you're going to pull out all the individual aces. Then you're going to pull out the elements of the suits. So ace is one. So the next is two. Three of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles. Then the 10 of Pentacles. But you're setting the cards up, face up, so it's ace all the way down to the 10. Now you would do that with the rest of the suits. So after the tens, you're going to pull up the page. So after the 10 of Pentacles, you're going to put the page of Pentacles. After the 10 of Cups, the page of Cups. After the 10 of Swords, the page of Swords. After the 10 of Wands, the page of Wands. After the pages, you're going to put the knights. Those are the guys riding the horses. You're going to put the knights underneath for every suit. Will be the kings of every suit. Now you have the four elements lined up from ace down the king, right? Ace down the king. Each one of those suits tell a story from ace to king. Now, F, cups next to the right of the cups, swords, to the right of the swords, wands. And what you're going to do is you're going to compare all four with each other. You're going to see the similarities between cards. You might notice that there's something in the earth card that's in the air card, and there's something in the cup cards that's shared with the wands. Why? It allows you to get familiar with your deck. Now, the 22 major arcana cards are sitting to the side. You're not looking at them yet. Everything from earth to wands throughout all the suits is talking about the earth plane. The court cards are pages, knights, queens, and kings. They can be utilized to represent different sides of a person, different age groups. For instance, pages are babies in adolescence, teenagers. Knights are young men. Knights would be young men that are like 21, but they're not married. Queens, though, since young ladies can become mothers at an early age, from 18 on, they get a queen. They don't even get a page, they get a queen. Why? Because they're forced to live life, become more mature, faster. Then the kings are men who are seasoned with life, men who are married, perhaps, or divorced. Nonetheless, they get a king. Now, you can use the concept of chess in there too. You think of what the knight does, the horses do, L shape, a few steps at a time. Pawns, one or two steps at a time. Pages, same thing. They can only move but so much. Knights, horses, pages, pawns. Queens, what does the queen on the chessboard does? She can go any direction she wants and as far as she wants. She can take a couple of steps, many steps, or a whole row if she wants. The king, he moves any direction he wants, one step at a time. So you can employ chess right into the tarot. That's the cool thing. See, the tarot is free and wheeling. You can use many things. Sometimes you can work with a tarot deck for so long and miss tiny symbols in it. And you weren't meant to see them in the beginning, but you see them later. Like, wow, I just realized there's a gemstone there, or there's a toad in there, there's a mushroom in there. Wow, I'm just now seeing that. Didn't see that before. Wheat stalks, I didn't see that before. You weren't supposed to. You weren't supposed to see it in the beginning. You were supposed to see it the longer you worked with it. Then you began to see it. So there are different ways to deal and utilize the tarot. People say, well, what do you do with the tarot? Do you read other people first? You could, but it's actually was meant for you to read yourself. But you got to let your ego slide out the way so you can read yourself properly. So the tarot is not just about reading other people, reading events. It's about delving into who you are, what you're going through. There's so many different layouts and spreads. There's pyramid spreads, there's 7 day spreads, there's 3 day spreads, there's a radio spread, which is shuffling the cards and splitting them into three decks and then read that way. The middle pile is now. The pile to the left is the past. The pile to the right is the future. Different ways. You can use the zodiac, the astrological wheel. You can actually draw it up on a card. And then you lay your lead card in the center, and then you go all the way around. But you go from Aries to Pisces. And if you want, you could have two circular rows. You can have the other ones on the inside wheel representing the houses if you want. Now you got 25 cards to work with. You can use the Celtic cross. It took me a while to figure out the Celtic cross, so I just looked at the cross and said, "Hmm, I'll deal with that." And then I played with it, and then I developed my own spreads. A 3 card spread for yes and no. If I got 2 positive cards, that's a yes. 1 card, that's a no. Still a yes. I can still work with the situation. I develop a card based on my numerical birthday number. I'm born on the 16th of a particular sign. So I would deal 16 cards out based on the Celtic cross, but differently, 16 cards. I have the lead card and then the row coming right down the center that is on top of. That's the spine. Then the outer corners gave me information. Then the so I had a body of 13 cards, 12 here, 3 rows of 4 cards, earth pole, water pole, air pole, fire pole, a lead card. And then the extra 3 cards, extra card for each row is a summary. And why? Because I could use the summary and do the reading if I want with the lead card. Or I could use the lead card in the spine. The card that's in the center, that's the heart. That's how I taught my tarot students. That was my particular way of reading cards. There are lots of different ways. You just have to explore. I think I still got a PDF left on that, on tarot, called Tarot Basics 1, 2, 3. I really should put it into a book form, but I got so much to do. I just leave it in a PDF format for people, and then sell that. Again, tarot is fun, but here's a better way. Not just a better way, but if you want to get into your tarot cards, grapes, treat each tarot card, the major or the minor, treat each tarot card as a theatrical stage. That means you're going to look at the card, you're going to meditate on the card, then you're going to go into it as though you are in the audience looking at the stage, and the tarot card that you're looking at spatially becomes the theatrical stage. I used to do this with my students also. I'd say, okay, we got the 2 of Cups, man and the woman, and there's a person walking away. I want you to meditate on this card so that you find yourself looking up at the man and the woman. What are they doing? What is the expression on the woman's face? What is the expression on the man's face? How is his body? He's moving toward the woman. He's taking a step. The woman is receiving, but she's looking at him. He's looking at the gift. But there's the man walking away. Who's he? You step into the picture. You begin to explore what you see, every angle of the picture. Yes, because, and the reason I would tell my students this is why everything around you is visual. So you see the 2 of Cups. You could take that into the street, see a couple, 2 men or 2 women, a man or a woman, 2 of them. Makes you go into your mind, 2 of Cups. Interesting. So the tarot can be applied to everyday life. You just have to pick the card and set it up. Here's a hint. The magician in the major arcana, the magician, Aleph 1, represents all the aces. Beth, the high priestess, 2. Major arcana 2, the high priestess. She represents all the 2s. There's different ways of going into these cards. You can take the major arcana and split them into three parts. You got the zero. Some decks, the fool is zero, or sometimes he's 22. But guess what? He's both. He's the zero, he's the beginning, he's the potential. 22, he's what happened throughout life. And the tarot, the fool, think of in Renaissance time, he's fool is called a court jester. Did you know that the court jester was a magician in his own right? He was the pure entertainer. But he's the only one that could say something to the king or the queen and get away with it. He brought a certain kind of wisdom to the board, different than the magician and the high priestess and the hermit. See, those four, they're unique personalities. The magician, the high priestess, the hermit, they're mates to each other. But you know who's a mate? The emperor and the empress. They're mates to each other. Yeah, fool, he had to be charismatic, man. Why? Because his life depended on it. His joke, his antics depended on him living from day to day. If he ticked off the king or queen to the lion, something that would cause the king and queen to sit back and listen. That's what's so unique about the tarot. And again, the four elements are the four parts of our life. And the core cards are the different personalities of yourself. And then, because you're walking on the earth, the 22 major arcana cards are around and above you, like a canopy. You're drawing up on that to bring that down, to bring understanding down into the earth plane. So there's many different ways. You just have to keep exploring. But that's how I taught my tarot classes. My course was called Tarot Basics 1, 2, 3. Not meaning that 1, 2, 3 means easy. One was we dealt with the minor arcana cards. Two, we dealt with the major arcana cards. Three, we dealt with different tarot spreads, the way we're going to lay the cards out. I would call the tarot spread the maps of consciousness, of awareness, of remembrance. So we had different ways of looking at the cards. Now, the tarot cards are the grandma and the granddad of a regular playing deck of cards. That regular deck, you can look it up, it's called cardology. Cardology, the logic of cards, the study of cards. The only difference is 4 elements of 13 cards with 3 court cards per suit. So the only one you didn't see in a regular deck of cards are pages. You only see Jack, which is a knight, queen, and a king. But you did see the Joker or the Fool. Regular deck of cards, you got 2 of them. In certain card games, you got an upper fool and a lower fool. Upper Joker and a lower Joker. Sometimes you get a blank card. Some tarot decks you had a blank card. Blank card meant no answer. But a blank rune stone means the master, the God of the universe. Different things, different aspects. These are different things that you could operate with. Anybody can, but you take your time. The longer it takes for you to study and get the understanding, the better everything becomes. No need to rush. So you imagine now people that study cardiology, they got a whole chart, man, where they can look up your date of birth, the birth month and day that you're born on, and it equates to one of the suits. When you're looking at the connection between the cards, regular 52 playing cards, meaning each one of those cards can represent a week within a year. When you look at those cards, the major arcana is Pentacles, right? The card that corresponds to a pentacle in a regular playing card deck is the red cards, the diamonds. When you look at the cups emotions represent the red cards called the hearts. Now, here's where things get tricky. There's two sets of black cards. One is called clubs, and the other is called spades. And here's where things flip. The spades are the swords, the clubs are the wands. And people have whole charts. I think that if you want to study cardology, look up the guy's last name is Camp, Camp. I forget his first name. I used to have that book. It was just too much to try to study. I had it 20 years ago. But this guy, his last name is Camp. He worked all of this stuff out. How to read the 52 cards in a deck. How to actually do a reading. And showed you what every card meant. Camp. Let me type it in here. Make sure. 52 playing cards. Derivative of the 78 tarot cards. Cardology. Look that up. Look up the name, Camp. And I believe that's the guy's last name. And I can look it up on my cell phone. Give me a second here. Sometimes they call it cardomancy, but cardology, teacher or author, Camp. And let's see if it comes up as what his full name is. His name is Robert Lee Camp. You look up Robert Lee Camp. You look up Roger Lee Camp. Look up Roger Lee Camp and you'll find out all about the meaning of cards, how to read the 52 playing cards. According to most tarot classic traditions, the 52 cards come from the 78 cards. But they work. I know some people that work with both. I have some spiritual sisters. They can read the regular deck of cards and the tarot cards. That's a lot of work. But they use them to attain uh, different layers of information. Just like there's some people will use different tarot cards to get different information inside of a reading. Some people will use what is called oracle cards, as well as the regular deck of cards. And people say, well, why would you use oracle cards? Well, if you study the oracle cards enough, you become like the living oracle card. It's just another way of bringing out energy to you to look at. These are things that we all have an interest in. As we say, the more the merrier. Always study to widen the mind, build new folds in the brain, expand your awareness. Well, you can go online nowadays, to Amazon, or you can locate different businesses online that have sell tarot cards. U.S. game systems sold all the cards. U.S. games. Let me put that here. U.S. games system. And the U.S. game system catalog used to, if I'm not mistaken, came out of Connecticut. Was up in was up in Connecticut. It might be someplace else now, but you can go into the U.S. game systems catalog, and you'd find everything from tarot cards, regular cards. Yep, here we go again. You'd find in that tarot, tarot, 52 decks, cards. You'll find mahjong cards, etc. in that catalog. So there's different things you can do. You can explore. You don't really lose out. You just gain more information. So there's like over 800 to 1,000 tarot decks happening all the time. There's tarot. There's one of my students used to live in. They were from the United States, but they used to live in South Korea. And when they lived there, for my birthday, they sent me back a South Korean tarot book, but it was on the Wait Tarot deck, just written in Korean. So it lets you know all this stuff is around the world. When you're looking at the tarot cards, there's the Fez deck, there's the Egyptian deck, and it just goes on and on and on. You find out the one that works for you. That's what you have to do. Find the one that works for you, the one that you get information from. There's some tarot decks that don't have any information in it per se. It's just an artistic deck. But you would have to know that and then work with it. See, there's so many different symbols. There's flowers that pop up. Flowers mean something. Lilies mean something. Roses mean something. Tulips mean something. You'd have to be able to know the difference and how to use those other symbols within the card to divine a situation for a person or for yourself. So there's a lot, you see. There's a lot of things. Tarot cards, regular playing cards, which is cardiology, um, cardology, gemstones. Then there's pendulums. One day I'll come on and I'll talk about pendulums. I might come on tomorrow night, talk about pendulums. Well, I'm going to sign off. I've been on again 2 hours. If you want to find out more information about my online live video stream course on numerology, based on my book, The Key to Life is Numerology, you should email me at iam.circleofgrace with number one at the end at gmail.com. And this will give you all the pertinent information. I'll send out the outline so you know what's being taught from Wednesday, February the 1st, 2023 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be like a college course because it's going to go for 4 months: February, March, April, and May. We're going to start on February the 1st, which is a Wednesday, and end on a Wednesday, which is May the 31st of 2023. There's going to be 12 paid classes and 6 free classes, which are review classes, sprinkled throughout. At the end of the course, people will receive some additional information and a pre recorded video stream or audio, short 10, 15 minutes of information. When you're taking the course with me, when you're paid into the course, um, there's going to be 2 registration windows, one from January the 2nd through January the 18th. That's the early bird price, where you save $103. The second window for registration is from January the 19th to February the 19th. That's the regular standard fee. So if you're interested, you need to email me at iam.circleofgrace with the number one at the end at gmail.com and say, hey, I want to get some information. I want to know what's going to be taught, and I'll send that information out to you. And it'll give you the dates. And also, I'll give you a list of ways that you pay for the course. If you happen to miss the early bird and have to pay the higher fee, you've got from January the 19th to February the 19th to pay it in full. And you can still take the class. You can just plunk down 1/4 so you can get into the class. So I'm going to leave my email address here for more information. I didn't put it in the description. I'll put it here. Thank you for joining me this evening. I may come on tomorrow night, which is Wednesday, and cough up some more information, and that'll be it. And then maybe come on Friday with more information, as well as Saturday with more information about my course. Put this here. And I'm going to sign off. Too many twos. So, email me if you want to know how to pay for the courses and what I'm going to be teaching. You will get 12 paid classes and 6 free classes. That's a total of 18 classes spread out over 4 months on a Wednesday night from February the 1st to May the 31st. Thank you for joining me tonight. I have to follow what my ancestors tell me to do. So that's why it's kind of hard to tell you exactly when I'm coming online. I'm a different kind of person, a different kind of teacher. But I'm here to help you make some sense of what you're doing, where you want to go. Whether it's taking one of my courses or taking it in a different manner, or whether you want to get a spiritual um, counseling session. If you want that, here's the website link. If you want to get more information about me, go here. We break this down. Go here. And this will give you everything that I'm talking about, other courses that I have as well. Make sure I have it right. So use that link right there if you want to get more information about other courses that I teach in my other books. You can go on Amazon.com and just type in books by Francis E. Revels-Bey, bloop, and they'll show up the most immediate ones that people are looking at. If you click on the name Francis E. Revels-Bey in Amazon, it'll show you all six of the books I've written. Um, I'm looking forward to come on tomorrow, to come on a little earlier and not so late. So your information, yes, you're welcome. 100% grapes. And Ari Mayat, thank you for joining me this evening. And the various people that were popping in and out, thank you as well. Um, I look forward to being here tomorrow night. And I always like to say, my grace is your grace. That's one of my phrases. And the next phrase is remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. Take care. You too. Have a good night. Bye now. And feel free to email me if you have any questions. Okay, I'd like to give out information as much as possible to those who care to know. Take care now.